Laura was nominated for the Best Actress award at a film festival for the first time and asked my fiancé, Sebastian, for a gift. It was the prayer beads he never took off. Under the spotlight, Sebastian personally took them off and placed them around the wrist of his childhood friend. His expression was focused and devout. Later, the media uncovered that those prayer beads were ones I had obtained through a ritual of kneeling step by step. I waited in front of the temple for a day and a night. That night, Sebastian flew to that temple and found the wish letter I had written under an ancient 1,000-year-old tree. My only wish is for Sebastian and Elena to be together forever. Chapter 1. The nominations for the various awards at the film festival were announced, and both Laura and I were nominated for Best Actress. At the dinner announcing the nominees, my agent, Sister Zhao, took my arm and whispered to me, Lena, Laura's nominated film is The Return, the one you didn't shoot. I gently nodded. I knew, while filming my recent movie, I had an accident and suffered a back muscle injury, which required 6 months of rest. At that time, The Return was about to start shooting. Laura had just announced that she had recovered from her illness in the United States and had returned to the entertainment industry in China. Sebastian then arranged for Laura to replace me as the lead actress. Was I unhappy? Of course, I was. Sebastian is my boyfriend, and our relationship has always been stable. Although we haven't made our relationship public, we were already preparing to get engaged. He was playing with the prayer beads on his right wrist as if discussing something trivial. Lena, don't be so childish. You can't make the whole crew wait for you. I knew he was right, but since Laura returned to China, Sebastian has been by her side all the time. Even our engagement plans have been postponed. It's hard not to overthink things. Chapter 2. Laura is here. She's the hot favorite for the Best Actress award. Suddenly, a commotion arose around me. I looked up and saw many reporters gathered at the entrance of the banquet. Laura was wearing a black low-waisted evening dress, looking sexy and alluring. Sebastian was beside her, dressed in a dark blue suit. The attending reporters were extremely excited. President Zhao of the entertainment company is here too. This is big news. Isn't he known for never appearing at such events? Don't you know about the recent gossip? It's all about Sebastian and Laura. They were lovers before, but they broke up because Miss Liu had a heart condition and had to go abroad for treatment. Now that she's recovered, they can finally be together. The flashbulbs were popping incessantly. My ears were filled with the reporters' heated discussions. Standing in a corner, I didn't want to listen any longer. I turned to leave, but just as I was about to go, a sentence held me back. A reporter was holding a microphone, interviewing Laura. Miss Liu, The Return is a multi-billion production project. How did you get this script right after returning to the country? Laura smiled gently. She looked up at Sebastian, who was standing to the side, her tone sweet and sticky. I have to thank Sebastian for that. He was the one who introduced me to the director. I wonder if Sebastian remembers. We made a bet. If I got nominated for Best Actress, you promised to give me a gift. Sebastian lowered his head. He gave a soft hum and asked, "What do you want?" The reporters murmured softly. If it were me, I'd ask for a villa or an unlimited black card. President Zhao is so generous. He doesn't seem to fear Laura asking for too much. At this moment, Laura spoke. She held Sebastian's right wrist. I want this string of prayer beads. Chapter 3. These prayer beads were a gift from me to Sebastian. There was a time when his company was growing rapidly, but he also made a lot of enemies. His rivals, coveting his power, bribed his assistant while he was on a business trip and had him kidnapped to the outskirts. For 3 whole days, there was no way to contact him. The police reassured me to stay calm. But how could I stay calm? 3,000 steps led to the temple, and I climbed them, kowtowing with every step. It was raining heavily that day. I prayed outside all night. And finally, the next morning, I received news that he had returned safely. Before leaving, I hung a wish plaque on the ancient tree at the temple. My only wish is for Sebastian and Elena to be together forever. The prayer beads were given to me by the temple elder. He said they could protect a person, keeping them safe and healthy, and bring them peace and good fortune. Later, I personally put the beads on Sebastian's right wrist. At that time, He was lying in the hospital, weak, and laughed at me for being superstitious, but he never took them off. At this moment, I unconsciously held my breath, waiting for Sebastian's response. What would he do? He seemed to be stunned. He frowned and habitually touched his right wrist with his left hand. For a moment, I thought he would refuse, but then Laura asked, I heard these prayer beads can protect a person from illness and disaster. Sebastian, is that true? It was as if Sebastian snapped out of it. Without hesitation, he slipped the beads off his wrist. He took Laura's hand and placed the beads on her wrist. He lowered his head, his expression serious and devout. Laura, you need to get better soon. Chapter 4. In the end, that string of beads was given away by Sebastian. This news trended the next day. Hashtag Sebastian Laura bet hashtag. Hashtag Sebastian personally put the prayer beads on Laura hashtag. Hashtag Sebastian Laura. What a perfect match hashtag. Some comments appeared below. Wasn't President Zhao really fond of those prayer beads? He never let anyone touch them, but he just gave them away. TSK. That depends on who they're given to, right? Laura and Sebastian have been childhood sweethearts. Reunited after a long time apart. Aw, it's just too sweet. The prayer beads were probably obtained from a temple, right? I heard that the temple is famous for its effective prayers for safety. Many celebrities go there to worship. Yeah. A couple of years ago, I even saw a female celebrity, Elena, at that temple. I took a few photos. Let me find them. Oh my gosh, it was raining so hard. She was kneeling so devoutly. Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. 3,000 steps. She climbed them, bowing with every step. I wonder what kind of person had an accident so serious that it made Elena pray like that. The discussion on Twitter gradually veered off topic and shifted towards me. That fan who encountered me uploaded a few photos and a video. In the pouring rain, I was kneeling on the stone steps with my hands clasped, looking toward the temple. Some people wondered if something had happened to me. There were fans who felt sorry for me, saying, I cried seeing this. If someone prayed like this for me, I would treat them well for a lifetime. My agent, Sister Zhao, knew about my situation with Sebastian. When she saw the trending topics, she asked if I wanted to contact Sebastian to handle the public opinion in advance. I shook my head. I couldn't reach him at this moment. He was on a plane to Northern Europe. With Laura. Chapter 5. When Sebastian personally placed the prayer beads on Laura's wrist at the banquet, there was a moment when I felt I couldn't breathe. So, the blessings I had prayed for with such sincerity could be so easily passed on? I don't remember how the banquet ended. Later, I returned to the hotel room in a daze, unable to calm my emotions. I didn't turn on the lights. I sat alone in the dark for a long time. I didn't understand. I couldn't comprehend. What did he think of my intentions? And what did he think of me? I called Sebastian twice, but he didn't answer. I didn't call again. Just as well. I wanted to ask him face to face. Sebastian's room was on the top floor of the hotel, 3 floors above mine. To avoid being seen by anyone unaware of our situation, I took the fire escape to find him. I walked all the way to his room. At the moment I knocked on the door, I realized I was scared, afraid that the one who would open the door would be Laura. I shook my head and laughed self-deprecatingly. How could I have so little trust in Sebastian now? The door opened from the inside. It wasn't Laura, nor was it Sebastian, but Sebastian's assistant, Luis. Luis was stunned to see me. Elena, what are you doing here? I want to talk to Sebastian. Luis had been with Sebastian since he started his business, and I had known him for 5 or 6 years. During the hardest times, the 3 of us had once eaten cold noodles together in a rented apartment. He quickly understood why I was there. Luis scratched his nose. He's left the hotel. President Zhao is going to the European Film Festival with the return. He just took a flight to Norway. With Laura? I didn't even know how I managed to ask that question. Luis looked at me with a hint of sympathy. Yeah, they're on the same flight. A day and a night on the plane. It'll be hard to reach him. Chapter 6. I gave a soft He didn't even tell me. Only after saying this did I realize how foolish I sounded. Hasn't Sebastian always been like this? Once he decides on something, he doesn't focus on anything else. Just like a few days ago, I had told him that the movie I was attending the festival for would be premiering in another city, and I had saved him a front row seat. I wanted to watch it with him, but he probably forgot. Luis rubbed his hands apologetically. He seemed to want to say something, probably words of comfort, but I didn't want to hear it anymore. I waved my hand at him and turned to leave. When I reached the fire escape, I couldn't hold it in anymore and sat down on the steps. A tear fell. I knew it was time to make a decision. I thought about many things. I thought about how Sebastian used to treat me well, flying across half the world to celebrate my birthday, staying up all night when I had a fever. But now, he has taken all that care and given it to another girl. Love and indifference are actually very obvious. Since that's the case, Sebastian, let's part ways amicably and not contact each other in the future. Chapter 7. The guest list for my and Sebastian's engagement party was small, with only a few close family members and friends invited. Altogether, it wasn't more than a few dozen people, because Laura suddenly returned from abroad. Our engagement, which was supposed to be held soon, was postponed, and a new date was never set. In hindsight, it's probably for the best. An unsuitable marriage should be cut off before it begins. I found the contact number for the wedding hotel and called. It was already 1 a.m., yet the person in charge was still awake and answered quickly. I felt a bit guilty for disturbing them so late, especially to cancel the banquet. The other person was polite. As long as you've made up your mind, it's no problem at all on our end. Of course, the 60,000 deposit is non-refundable. I agreed without hesitation. The deposit was paid by Sebastian, not me. That amount of money is just a drop in the bucket for him, right? I drafted a message. Sorry for the inconvenience to all family and friends. Elena and Sebastian have decided to part ways due to personal differences. We will remain friends. The engagement party is cancelled. Sorry for any disturbance this may cause. I read the message aloud and then sent it to everyone. At this time of night, everyone should be asleep. Finally, I blocked all of Sebastian's contact information. I turned off my phone. I let out a long breath. Time to cut ties with the past. I rubbed my face. Elena, it's time to welcome a new life. After finishing all of this, I stood up. I felt as if I had completed a major task, both exhausted and clear-headed. As I was descending the stairs through the fire escape, I nearly missed a step. Fortunately, someone passing by caught me just in time. I kept my head down, not seeing clearly, and only managed a soft thank you. But then I heard a familiar voice. Elena? I looked up. The person standing before me was wearing a simple white shirt and jeans. Romeo. Chapter 8. Last year's Best Actor. And this time he's nominated again for Best Actor at this year's film festival. He's the only young actor to be nominated for Best Actor 2 years in a row. To think, we were even college classmates. But he was a natural talent. A child star who had already appeared in 3 or 4 TV dramas before even entering college. I, on the other hand, have always been more of the hardworking type, stumbling my way to where I am now. Luckily, each film has been a little better than the last. I knew Romeo had been invited to this banquet, but I didn't expect to run into him here, in the stairwell, late at night. I was a bit surprised. Romeo? What are you doing here? He smiled. His tone gentle. Couldn't sleep. I've had insomnia these past few days. Plus, I was bored, so I came out to look at the script. He said he had taken on a new role, a rather complex character, so he wanted to spend more time studying it. I didn't want to sleep either, so we stood by the window in the fire escape, chatting while looking at the moon. We talked about our college days, those early days of filming, and how the entertainment industry has become increasingly bizarre. As we talked, I casually asked, "When will your latest film start shooting?" I don't know yet. The female lead hasn't been finalized." Romeo turned his head, looking at me seriously. "Elena, would you like to give it a try?" "Me?" He nodded. "The role suits you quite well." He even handed me the script, asking me to take it back and have a look. Since injuring my back, I've been resting for a few months. My next movie contract hasn't been finalized yet, The projects that Romeo's team chooses are at least guaranteed in quality. I took the script, thought for a moment, and agreed. Okay, I'll take a look, and if it works, I'll call you. Chapter 9. We talked for about 2 hours. It was past 3 in the morning when I finally yawned. Feeling a bit sleepy, Romeo smiled and walked me to my room door. As he was about to leave, he paused and asked, "Elena, are you not feeling well today?" He pointed to his eyes. "Your eyes are red." Oh, I had been crying. I shook my head. It's all in the past. I won't let myself be upset over someone unimportant anymore. Romeo looked at me for a moment, hesitating slightly, and then, in the next moment, he took a folded piece of paper out of his pocket. I tore a piece of paper from the script earlier and folded this out of boredom. "Here, it's for you." It was a flower, delicately made and beautiful. I took it. "A rose?" His voice was soft, a Chinese rose. I was taken aback. Not many people remember that I like Chinese roses. Even Sebastian often sent me roses instead. I looked at Romeo. Back in college, I had once turned him down. After all these years in the entertainment industry, I thought he would have long forgotten that youthful memory. Romeo opened his mouth, his Adam's apple bobbing twice as if he wanted to say something. But when he finally spoke, it was just a simple sentence: "Get some rest. Don't overexert yourself." Chapter 10. That night, I slept very well, probably because I had finally let go of something weighing on my mind. I didn't wake up until noon the next day. Then my agent, Sister Zhao, came over to show me the trending topics. Last night's incident of Sebastian giving the prayer beads to Laura, and the photos of me kneeling in front of the temple praying for safety that a fan inexplicably captured years ago. I told Sister Zhao there was no need to contact Sebastian. He's on a plane right now, and his phone is definitely off, even if he could be reached. I no longer wanted to have any further entanglement with him. Sister Zhao looked puzzled but didn't press the issue, since we had to go to another city in the next few days to promote the newly released movie. I started packing, preparing to catch the evening train. After almost finishing packing, I lay down to rest. Sister Zhao sat in the corner, scrolling through her phone. Suddenly, she exclaimed, "Elena, look quickly. They've already dug up your story from back then." I took Sister Zhao's phone. The top trending topic read, #Elena Sebastian, prayer beads #. I thought that by ignoring the speech, the attention would naturally die down. But unexpectedly, a fan examined the photos and videos with a magnifying glass. They discovered that the prayer beads I obtained in the rain in front of the temple were the same ones that Sebastian had always worn on his right wrist. The public opinion instantly exploded. Is this for real? I thought all prayer beads looked the same. How could you even tell them apart? Maybe you don't know, but prayer beads from temples are all different. Each set has a small design inside as a mark, to prevent counterfeit selling. Yes, someone once took a photo of Sebastian wearing the set, and it had 3 short and 1 long fine line engraved on the inside, which matches the ones in Elena's photos. So Elena was praying for Sebastian's safety? Please don't tell me that the prayer beads Elena knelt all night in the rain to get were casually given to someone else. Just typing this makes me feel so sad. Why? How can someone's sincere feelings be treated like this? Chapter 11. The discussion around this topic escalated rapidly. Soon, netizens and various marketing accounts uncovered more clues. The date when Sebastian was kidnapped 2 years ago coincided exactly with the time I went to the temple to pray. There were also a series of photos of us together, entering the same hotel, attending the same concert. And recently, someone even spotted us at a wedding hotel. And if you dig back far enough, you can find photos from 5 or 6 years ago. Sebastian had just started his business, and we already knew each other by then. The comments below were almost entirely on my side. When Elena and Sebastian were together, Laura was still abroad, right? So, it seems that this Laura Liu is actually the third party. Thinking about how I was shipping Sebastian and Laura yesterday, now I feel disgusted. Why doesn't President Zhao come out and clarify? Men, what kind of creatures are they, to change so quickly? He probably can't respond now. Rumor has it that he's accompanying Laura to a film festival in Northern Europe. Ugh. Ugh, I feel like I'm going to vomit. Where's my paparazzi squad? Get to the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland now. And make sure to catch Zhao the moment he gets off the plane. Press him to death with questions. I put down my phone. For now. I haven't faced any backlash in this heated discussion, so there's no need to make any public statements. After being in this industry for so many years, I have some experience. Suddenly jumping into this mess now could lead to unpredictable consequences. Sister Zhao looked at me with a hesitant expression. Elena, you and Sebastian. I cut her off. Sebastian and I have already broken up. We have nothing to do with each other. Broken up? Sister Zhao stood up suddenly. So abruptly? Will he agree to it? I smiled. Sis, are you confused? Breaking up is something you just inform someone about. Do I need Sebastian's consent? Chapter 12. I boarded the high-speed train just as Sebastian and Laura got off the plane. In the business class, there weren't many people. I was wearing a mask, so no one recognized me. Maybe because the issue with the prayer beads had caused such a stir. The two girls sitting diagonally in front of me were also discussing it. Did you check Twitter? That love triangle with Sebastian, Elena, and Laura? The other girl replied excitedly. I've been glued to my phone all day. It seems like many domestic reporters at the film festival in Northern Europe aren't even watching the movies anymore. They're all waiting at the airport to interview Sebastian. Really? Ha ha ha. As they spoke, they opened a tablet. From my angle, I could see the screen clearly. It was a live broadcast from a gossip reporter. The camera was pointed at the plane that had just landed. And amidst the roaring sounds of takeoff and landing, you could hear the reporter's narration. We are now at the Norwegian airport. Mr. Zhao has just gotten off the plane. He probably hasn't seen the online discussions yet. Let's go interview him. Sebastian and Laura walked out of the cabin. Suddenly, the waiting reporters rushed over. A tabloid journalist wearing a baseball cap took the lead. She held the microphone up to Sebastian and asked, Mr. Zhao, is it true that the prayer beads you gave Miss Liu were originally given to you by Elena? Sebastian was stunned. His brows furrowed as if he had just realized something. What could he be thinking? It couldn't be that he remembered how I had told him not to lose them, or I'd be angry, right? In the next moment, Laura took over. Oh, this is Sebastian's private matter. I think you shouldn't pry too much, regardless of who gave them. They now represent Sebastian's feelings and blessings for me. What a pretentious coquette. To do something like borrowing someone else's gift to give away. It shows the guy isn't much better. The two girls in the train car whispered to each other. In the live broadcast, Sebastian's company security followed closely, trying to end the interview. But the reporters weren't easily dismissed by Laura's simple words. The female reporter in the baseball cap stood at the back, raising her voice and shouting. Those prayer beads were obtained by Elena when you were kidnapped. She climbed 3,000 steps at the temple, bowing at each one, praying for your safe return. Don't you have anything to say about that? Chapter 13. What? Sebastian abruptly turned around. His voice was low, and his expression was dark. At the time, I only told Sebastian that I went to the temple to get a prayer bead for peace. I didn't mention the process. You say, how did Elena get these prayer beads? Sebastian repeated his question word by word. The live camera zoomed in on his expression. His eyes were cold, but even through the screen, you could see a hint of disbelief and a trace of fear in his gaze. The reporter wasn't intimidated. She took out her phone and held it up to Sebastian. If Mr. Zhao doesn't believe it, he can see for himself. A fan happened to meet Elena at the temple that day and took photos and videos. The reporter's phone probably had the footage that the fan uploaded online. Sebastian reached out and took it. His fingers visibly trembled. He finally spoke, his voice hoarse. I didn't know. I thought it was just an ordinary object. He ignored the reporter's relentless questioning. He took out his phone, turned it on, and dialed a number. A gossip reporter moved the live camera closer, and the background sound came through. He's calling Elena. But my phone didn't ring. Sister Zhao, sitting next to me and watching the video with great interest, leaned in. What's going on? Elena? Why isn't your phone ringing? I had turned off my phone. and even if it were on, Sebastian wouldn't be able to reach me. I had already blocked him. The live stream continued with the sound of a phone ringing repeatedly. Sebastian frowned, his expression growing darker. The call naturally went unanswered. After a few seconds, another number called. He answered immediately. Of course, it wasn't me calling. The voice on the other end was furious, amplified by the reporter's hidden speaker. It was even clearer. Sebastian, you heartless jerk. What did you do to our Elena? Why was the engagement cancelled? The engagement was cancelled? Sebastian hesitated, repeating the words. His expression was a mix of surprise, disbelief, anger, and a bit of sorrow. I knew that voice well. It was my good friend Celine. She was almost growling through gritted teeth. Don't pretend you don't know. All our family and friends received a message last night saying the engagement was cancelled. And you two broke up. Don't tell me you didn't know a thing. He took a deep breath and said nothing, then suddenly hung up the phone. Chapter 14. Mr. Zhao, are you preparing to get engaged to Elena? Is the breakup true? Then what's your relationship with Miss Liu? The reporters, finally catching a hot topic, bombarded Sebastian with all sorts of questions. He didn't say another word. His lips pressed tightly together, his gaze dark and brooding, quickly scanning the circle of reporters. The atmosphere grew cold for a moment. Several company security personnel quickly stepped forward, pushing back the reporters trying to get closer, their tone far from polite. We didn't schedule an interview today, so don't push your luck. We have the right not to answer personal questions, so please step back. One reporter even had their camera knocked out of their hands during the scuffle. A black sedan pulled up at the edge of the airport. Sebastian kept his head down as he got into the car and quickly left the scene, disappearing from the camera's view. That's it? Honestly, I didn't get enough of that. The two girls sitting in front of me closed their tablet, still eager for more. One of them stretched and said, "This will definitely be trending again tomorrow." Who knew it would turn into a whole drama series? So entertaining. Although I wasn't particularly interested in what would happen next, I could already guess that the media and marketing accounts wouldn't miss out on milking the saga. In a few hours, the trending topics would undoubtedly be filled again. I rubbed my temples. In the coming days, I have to attend the roadshows for the newly released movie. There's no avoiding media reporters at these promotional events. The interview questions will inevitably touch on Sebastian and Laura. It's going to be a headache. Chapter 15. It wasn't until I got off the train, checked into the hotel, and settled down that I turned my phone back on. Dozens of missed calls and messages flooded in all at once. For a few seconds, my phone vibrated continuously. Celine alone had called me 5 or 6 times, followed by text messages. Elena, did you really break up with Sebastian? It wasn't easy for you two to get this far, but I'm always on your side. He's been entangled with that childhood sweetheart of his for a while. It's about time he got a wake-up call. I typed a reply to Celine and sent it back. As for my parents and family, I plan to talk to them in a few days. I was too tired now, and I didn't want to deal with relationships. I opened the entertainment news. The trending topics had changed but were still related to us. Hashtag Sebastian Elena. Engagement cancelled. Hashtag Elena praying for Sebastian's safety in the rain. Hashtag Laura confirmed as the third-party hashtag. There were even many viewers commenting under the Twitter account of Laura's movie The Return, demanding an explanation from the production team. What? Didn't they do a background check before casting? Any production using a third-party actress probably isn't a good one. Laura left the entertainment industry for so long, and her comeback role just happens to be in a big production like this? Don't tell me she doesn't have connections. Forgotten who her connection is? It's Mr. Zhao. Of course. Boycott The Return. Everyone! The Return quickly issued a statement shortly after. In the statement, the production team released a copy of the contract along with a few screenshots of chat records. The contract revealed that I was originally cast as the lead actress, but due to my back injury, they had to replace me. The chat records painted a different picture. It was a conversation between the director and Sebastian's company. We think Elena fits the role of the lead in The Return. Actually, Waiting a bit longer to start filming wouldn't be impossible. The crew could use that time to prepare behind the scenes. Sebastian's side rejected the suggestion. No need. Laura hasn't acted in a long time. She needs a big production to boost her exposure. And as for Elena, Mr. Zhao thinks she should take a break for a while. Chapter 16. So, it turns out I wasn't abandoned by the crew back then. It turns out I was always the first choice for the return. I stared at the production team's clarification in a daze. It's a good thing that the movie I got injured on also received positive feedback and good reviews. Otherwise, if I had found out about this today, I might feel more than just regret. I lay on the bed. Just as I was about to toss my phone aside and ignore everything, it suddenly rang. Romeo. Why would he be calling me? Could it be about the new movie role we talked about that night? Without thinking too much, I answered. On the other end, Romeo's voice didn't sound as steady as usual. Elena. He paused for a moment. I've seen what's been trending these days. Are you okay? I'm fine. I thought about it and added. Besides being a bit surprised by the news from the return's producer, nothing else has really affected me. That's good. Romeo's tone visibly relaxed. He then changed the subject. Did you hear about the film festival award ceremony being moved up? Huh? About a week earlier. The official announcement should be out soon, and they'll send electronic invitations to the nominees. The film festival's award ceremony usually takes place about 2 weeks after the nominations are announced. This time, for some reason, it was moved up by almost a week. Since the film festival requires a lot of preparation, the promotion and roadshow for the new film were compressed in time, and not many media outlets were invited. At least I won't have to deal with the gossip swirling around on the trending topics. Chapter 17. The day of the award ceremony wasn't particularly peaceful. When it was time to announce the Best Actor and Best Actress awards, Sebastian arrived. I was sitting in the front row when I heard a murmur from the press seats. President Zhao is here. This is his first appearance since the scandal, right? After all, both Laura and Elena are nominated for Best Actress. It was a bit noisy. Sebastian didn't respond. He walked down the long aisle and came over, sitting in the seat next to mine. For a moment, the flashbulbs went off like crazy. He raised his wrist as if he wanted to say something to me, but I didn't hear it clearly, because at that moment, the host on the stage had already taken out the winner's envelope. He pulled out a small card from the envelope. This year's Best Actress at the film festival is Elena. I was a bit stunned. Before the ceremony, Laura had always been the favorite to win Best Actress. However, the critics hadn't given her great reviews. The return's high quality elevated Laura from a third-rate actress to a contender for Best Actress. I came back to my senses and accepted congratulations and well wishes one by one. Sebastian was very close to me. He reached out his hand. Elena. It was only then that I realized what he had been trying to say earlier. The prayer beads were back on his right wrist. I didn't know what he had told Laura, but I no longer cared. Just like how spilled water can't be gathered again. Some things, once they happen, can never be changed. Chapter 18. I took the trophy from the host. In my acceptance speech, I thanked many people, my close friends, my agent, the company, all the people who had been with me along the way. Although I hadn't prepared a speech in advance, some words just flowed out naturally. The host smiled at me, holding the microphone. Elena, you've been quite the hot topic online recently. You've thanked so many people. Is there nothing else you'd like to say? Even though I knew there was no escaping the issue of the prayer beads, I still felt a sense of weariness when it came time to clarify and explain. One of the photographers, always looking for a good story, shifted the camera, and Sebastian appeared on the big screen, dressed in a black suit. He sat in the front row, posture upright, his left hand unconsciously rubbing the prayer beads on his right wrist. The camera zoomed in, focusing on the prayer beads on Sebastian's wrist. The host clearly understood the significance and, in a teasing tone, asked, for example, a certain Mr. Zhao. I calmly picked up the thread of the conversation. As you all know, we were in a relationship, and we broke up. From now on, we will have nothing more to do with each other. On the big screen, Sebastian's hand clenched into a fist. The empty plastic bottle on the armrest was crushed out of shape in his grip. Chapter 19. After the award ceremony ended, most of the guests went to the banquet. I stood alone in the hallway backstage, watching the distant sunset. No longer have anything to do with each other? Sebastian's voice came from behind me, repressed, angry. Elena, you really have some nerve. Canceling the engagement without saying a word to me. A breakup, did I agree to it? I let out a cold laugh, as expected of the domineering Mr. Zhao. But as far as I know, a breakup doesn't require your consent, does it? Sebastian lowered his head, not looking at me. Just when I thought the conversation was over, he took a deep breath, his voice hoarse and dry. I was wrong. I shouldn't have given those prayer beads to Laura. I never realized how much you went through back then. Elena, he grasped my wrist as if clutching at a lifeline. Can we start over? Start over? I looked at Sebastian. His features hadn't changed, but perhaps, over the years, our paths had diverged too far. What I cherished wasn't just the prayer beads. I was simply filled with a sense of regret. I had once loved him so passionately, but he never seemed to think it was that important. Chapter 20. I shook off Sebastian's hand and shook my head. His expression visibly grew sadder. This is the end, Sebastian, I thought to myself, then turned and walked toward the exit. The light was dim, and I didn't see who was coming in. Bumping into someone, he steadied me by the shoulders. His head lowered. Elena? It was Romeo. He had just won Best Actor. I thought he would be at the banquet. I haven't congratulated you yet. It's not too late, is it? Not too late. I smiled. Did you come all the way here just to say that? He seemed a bit embarrassed and rubbed his nose. No. I suddenly wanted to ask if you've made a decision about the new movie we talked about? The script I received from Romeo the night I decided to cut ties with Sebastian. I had read it over the past few days and found it quite interesting. A story of rebirth through fire, a sort of art film where the protagonist, after enduring a series of early hardships, eventually finds a new life. I discussed it with my agent, and we both thought it would be a good project to take on. Yes, if there are no issues, I can contact the production team to discuss the contract. Romeo's face lit up with excitement. He reached out as if to hug me but hesitated, unsure if he should. I blinked, then decided to give him a big, friendly hug. But barely 2 seconds into the hug, Sebastian's voice interrupted. Elena. I turned and met Sebastian's gaze. In the dim light, his figure was stiff, his eyes burning as he looked at me, with what seemed like a hint of pleading. I said, Sebastian, I wish you all the best in the future. And as for me, I'm going to pursue a new life, saying goodbye to the mire of the past. And may Elena's future be bright and full of success. Sebastian's extra chapter. Chapter 1. Going to Northern Europe for the film festival was something Laura begged me to accompany her to. She's been frail since childhood, with a congenital heart condition. I admit, I felt sorry for her, but that pity had nothing to do with other feelings. She once stared at the prayer beads on my wrist and asked what they meant. I thought of Elena. They're supposed to protect someone and keep them safe. Laura clutched her heart, looking fragile and delicate. If I had a set of prayer beads like that, would I stop getting sick? When I slipped the beads off my wrist and put them on Laura's, I almost regretted it, but my rationality suppressed those feelings. I told myself, it's fine, Elena won't mind. She's always been kind and generous. I would give her more, better things. I wouldn't let her lose to anyone. Chapter 2. It wasn't until I arrived in Norway and got off the plane that I realized just how wrong I had been. A reporter held a phone up to my face. In the video, Elena was kneeling in front of the temple. The rain was pouring down, drenching her shoulders. It wasn't until then that I noticed my hands were trembling. Sebastian, you really messed up. That very night, I flew back from Northern Europe and returned to China. Before leaving, I asked Laura for the prayer beads. She voiced her displeasure in her usual delicate tone. Sebastian, there's no reason to take back a gift you've just given. But all I felt now was annoyance. The agreement stands. Buy whatever luxury items you want. But these beads are non-negotiable. I couldn't reach Elena by phone, and I didn't know where she was. I got a copy of the message she sent out late at night, canceling our engagement. Elena and Sebastian have decided to part ways due to personal differences and will no longer walk the same path. On the plane, I kept rereading that sentence. No longer walk the same path? I clutched my phone tightly, taking a deep breath. I won't let this happen. We promise to stay together forever. Chapter 3. After landing, I took a high-speed train to the temple. The temple was built on a mountain, very high up. It was autumn now, with no rain and no scorching sun. Even so, climbing the steps was still time-consuming, let alone doing it while kneeling. I sat in front of the temple gates, looking down at the mountain. An old monk happened to come out. He glanced at me and asked, "The prayer beads on your wrist, were they obtained from this temple?" I quickly stood up and bowed. "Yes. You don't seem to be a disciple of Buddhism. The temple doesn't give its relics lightly, only to believers or those with a connection." I was taken aback. There were still people at the foot of the mountain performing bowing rituals. The temple's location was remote, but it held a high place in the hearts of its believers. The old monk said nothing more and walked forward until he reached an ancient tree. The tree was over 1,000 years old, with many red-painted bamboo tags hanging from its branches. 1,000-year-old tree. The wishes here were left by those who have visited the temple. Perhaps the person who brought you the prayer beads also wrote something here. That afternoon, I searched through the many wish tags. The sun slowly set. Finally, in the dim orange-red light, I found the wish Elena had written. "My only wish is for Sebastian and Elena to be together forever." I found the old monk and asked him for a bamboo tag, but when I picked up the pen, I hesitated, unsure of what to write. The old monk sat in a bamboo chair, looking utterly relaxed. "Just write whatever it is you wish for most." In the end, I only wrote 2 names, Sebastian, Elena. I couldn't admit it, but I was afraid that Elena would leave me, abandon me completely. Chapter 4. After the film festival award ceremony date was confirmed, my assistant asked if I wanted to attend. Laura and I had been at the center of public opinion recently. Out of concern for me, he suggested that I avoid attending. I rejected this suggestion. I couldn't reach Elena, but I knew she would definitely attend the ceremony. Finally, on the day of the award ceremony, I saw Elena again. She was sitting in the front row, separated by reporters, the audience, and the media. She felt so far away from me. Step by step, I walked toward her. She didn't turn around. Finally, I sat beside her again. I could reach out and touch her. I wanted to say so much. "Elena, look. I got the prayer beads back. I went to the temple. I saw the wish tag you wrote." But all those words got stuck in my throat. Before I could say anything, the winner of the Best Actress award was suddenly announced. And it was her. She was surrounded by friends and others in the industry. As if she didn't even see me. On the stage, she thanked one person after another. When she finally mentioned me, prompted by the host, it was just a single sentence. "No longer have anything to do with each other." Chapter 5. My mind exploded with that statement. I chased her backstage. How could it be that we have nothing to do with each other? I reassured myself that there would still be room to make things right. But then I saw someone else there. Romeo. I knew him from when Elena was in college. Romeo was a child star, already highly regarded when he entered university. He was known for being aloof and was even called a high mountain flower. But I knew he had once pursued Elena. I carefully asked Elena about it. She just laughed. "We were just joking as friends. Don't worry about it." Was that really true? I didn't dare tell anyone. In fact, I secretly approached Romeo. I warned him that being a third party is ultimately despised by everyone. He bowed his head at the time. After a long pause, he simply said, "I know. This is something that requires Elena's decision. The most I can do is wait." Chapter 6. I never expected that he really would wait until now. The moment I saw Romeo, I knew my reckoning had arrived. When Elena and Romeo embraced, my throat went dry, and my mind went blank. I should have stopped them, but I knew I couldn't keep Elena anymore. Elena and Romeo's new movie wrapped up a year later. I went to see the premiere. It was highly praised. Everyone said that the collaboration between the best actor and best actress was a perfect match. The crew released a group photo from the set. Elena and Romeo smiled at each other, their eyes filled with mutual understanding. Shippers gathered in the comments under the tweet. "Aw, I'm really into this. They should just make it official. They're together, aren't they?" The official account of the film responded ambiguously. "Don't worry, the good news will come directly from the two leads." I looked at that tweet, sitting on the bench in the cinema, and closed my eyes. Memories flooded back. "Elena, although you wished me well in the future, I think I won't be able to move on.